Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, bring you comics news, and reveal the books I bought this week. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching a Comic Hero show. Now kick that logo! This week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. It's part 3 of Christmas 2019 here on the show, and this is another Christmas Comic Hero tee. It's more of a winter, has more of a winter theme. Now, here in the Deep South, and I'm not just talking about Louisiana, I'm talking about the Deep South as a whole. A lot of times, the temperature yo-yos. Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's cold, and we don't always have the privilege of having a white Christmas like the rest of y'all do, and so this episode is for y'all. Now, I have an announcement regarding the road ahead for the show that I'm going to say till the very end. But for right now, it's time to give away a free t-shirt. Alright, on last week's episode, I asked, which insect did Stan Lee get the inspiration for creating Spider-Man from? Now, I said here on the show that it wasn't a spider. And then I said on social media that it wasn't a spider, although spiders like to drink the blood of this insect. Well, the correct answer was a fly. Now, the way the story goes, Stan Lee was trying to think of another creation for Marvel after the success of Fantastic Four. And he was in his office one day, and then all of a sudden a spider ended up flying into his office, and then he started getting ideas about a character with the characteristics of a spider. I mean, of a fly, but then that didn't really, fly well. So he started thinking about other insects, and then a spider was one of them. So that's how Spider-Man was born. Well, 13 people have answered correctly, and because they've answered correctly, their names have been entered in the drawing for a free tee. That drawing takes place right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode of the show is Alan Landry from Crowley, Louisiana. So congratulations, Alan. You give yourself a free Comic Hero tee. Alright, here's the question for next week's episode. And this is a Fantastic Four question. And it's very easy. What 2 words do the Human Torch yell out to activate his full body flame effect? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. Now, D'Angelo Ballou, who never disappoints, has requested by the way, from Youngstown, Ohio, by way of Homer, has requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one features 2 bad but cool guys. One in the video game, one in the comics. Representing DC, we have Captain Cold. And representing Mortal Kombat, we have Sub-Zero. These 2 are going to duke it out in a segment I like to call the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Captain Cold versus Sub-Zero. Captain Cold is a master tactician, thief, marksman, and strategist who possesses extensive knowledge of cryonics and a cold gun that allows him to freeze objects to absolute 0 temperatures. Being the descendant of the Cryomancers, Sub-Zero possesses power over ice and the ability to control it in many forms. He can flash freeze people and create an ice statue of himself to act as a scapegoat that can flash freeze opponents. With the Dragon Medallion, Sub-Zero can form a large sword made of ice called the Kori Blade, which he uses for his alternate weapon fighting style. He also has great martial arts skills thanks to his training with the Lin Kuei, and these skills are increased by the Dragon Medallion and his ancestral armor. Sub-Zero can even freeze the moisture in the air into any form, including an ice mist, indicating that he can freeze molecules. Who will win? Captain Cold knows he can't beat him in terms of fighting, so he relies on his weapons. He uses his cold gun on Sub-Zero, but the latter blocks every shot as he moves towards the former. Cold uses his cold gun one last time and freezes him in a block of ice. Cold then throws him off the cliff, causing the ice in Sub-Zero to shatter. Captain Cold wins. But wait! Cold only thought he froze Sub-Zero. The truth was, Sub-Zero created an ice statue of himself to make it appear like Cold froze him. Sub-Zero then forms his Corey blade and stabs Cold in the midsection. He then hears a voice that says, "Finish him." He then turns into a polar bear and eats Captain Cold whole. Sub-Zero wins. And that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Thank you, D'Angelo Ballou, for that fight. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll have another one next week. Now it's time for Comically Speaking, so without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, there's only one thing I'm going to talk about in this segment of Comically Speaking, and it's this. It's been rumored that Hugh Jackman and Michael Chiklis will reprise their roles as Wolverine and the Thing in the upcoming Marvel film Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Honestly, I think this is a great thing. Now, will it allow them to continue playing their characters in future Marvel movies? I don't know. Probably not Jackman, because I think Jackman has pretty much said that he's pretty much done with Wolverine. But never say never. And then with Chiklis playing the Thing, he was the only bright spots, or one of few bright spots in the Fantastic Four movies that were directed by Tim Story. And honestly, I really loved him as both Ben Grimm and the Thing, and I would love to see him in this movie. Now, this movie is also going to star, this movie, of course, Benedict Cumberbatch is going to play the role of the Sorcerer Supreme. And then also Elizabeth Olsen, who plays the Scarlet Witch, will be in it as well. Really looking forward to this because the movie is called Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That just lets you know that he's going to be venturing through different universes in Marvel, and I honestly can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be great. Alright, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now let's get to the comics I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. Alright, first up is Captain America number 17. Captain Marvel number 13. Fallen Angels number 2. Fallen Angels number 3. Fantastic Four number 17. The Flash number 84. Flash Forward number 2. Marauders number 2. New Mutants number 3. Superman number 18. And finally, Valkyrie Jane Foster number 6. Alright, that's 11, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 9,752. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Here's the question again for a free tee for next week's episode. What 2 words did the Human Torch yell out to activate his full body flame effect? Everyone who answers correctly will be in a drawing for a free tee on next week's episode of the show. And congratulations to Alan Landry from Crowley, Louisiana, who won a free tee on this week's episode. Now here's the announcement regarding the road ahead for the show. Now there's going to be a few changes. And, well, there's actually going to be one change. And it has to do with something that I was unaware of. Now next week would have been the last Christmas episode. But then I found out that the college football playoffs are going to be played on December 28th, which is 3 days after Christmas. Now the idea was to do episode 291 as a college football playoff, my annual college football playoff episode, but after finding out that they were going to be played on the 28th, I thought, okay, maybe, okay, yeah, I need to push it. I need to do it a week earlier. So with that being said, next week's episode 290, will be a college football playoff Christmas mashup episode of the show. It'll still be a Christmas episode, but I'm going to wear all 4 tees representing the 4 schools that are in the college football playoffs. That's LSU, Ohio State, Clemson, and Oklahoma. And if y'all are watching this and y'all are either fans, students, alumni, or staff at these colleges, this episode is for y'all. This episode is for the home state, considering that LSU quarterback Joe Burrow won the Heisman over the weekend. But also stay tuned because not only is it going to be a college football playoff episode of the show next week, it's also going to be a Christmas episode of the show. So stay tuned for that. All right, I'm Victor Nunley on the Comic Hero. I'll see you next week for episode 290. So until then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.